All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is Tuesday, April the 4th, 2017. And this is, the webinar tonight is checking out new features on Object Trader. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? As usual, I don't see any, but if we ever do, we'll address them. All right. Well, we're going to talk about some new features in Object Trader, but first I want to kind of get an idea if you were trading in the market, and I think I just turned this on. Yeah, I just downloaded some data, so I'm on like April the 3rd, I think it is, not today's. I just happened to have to quickly get that done. But just by looking at this chart on the right-hand side, what type of a trade would you say you would be looking for? Anyone? Looking to the left to trade the right? Sure you would, right? Long trade. So wouldn't we be looking for a retracement? Yeah, by the way, I want to let everybody know, did you know about maybe 2 years ago with this same type of question, more just drawing on the charts, a lot of people didn't get that, but now they do. And I think that's awesome. And it's really important to be able to know what side of the trend you're going to be on. Okay, doesn't mean you can't take some counter trend trades. Just always be careful with those, because you know how shotguns can happen. That can happen in a moment's notice. Okay, so okay, we know we're going to go long then, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and take this down. I won't belabor anything about it. Let's just go ahead and go to the chart. All right, now in Object Trader, what we've done in this last little release that you actually have, and it is a little bit of a beta because it does have a few little glitches in it. So I would highly recommend, you know, trading it somewhat in sim or watch it very, very closely with your account. I would make sure that first off, I went into the strategy mode and turned off, well, change the amount of contracts that you're willing to risk, okay? Because we put this out with 10 contracts to risk, but we told everybody right up front to change this to the most that you're willing to lose on a particular chart. Not willing to lose, but the most contracts that you're willing to take. If your max is going to be 3, then change that to a 3 and right click and save it, okay? Because in an automatic mode, you know, when things shotgun, to give an example, you can actually have your internet slower than, you know, to give an example, like your broker getting information from a strategy, and you could literally end up with all 10 of those contracts, okay, in certain situations. So I would say be very, very careful and make sure that your max quantity is never any more than you want to go, okay? You know, if you're comfortable with 10 and you could get out of it real quick, even if you were down like $1,000 really quickly or something, then obviously, you know, you could still, you know, trade 10 or whatever you want to trade as far as that goes. We put it out there with a max quantity defaulted at 10, okay? If you want 15, you just simply right click and set it as your default. That's all there is to it, okay? Now, when this newer version of Object Trader does come out, we are going to make this where this starts long enabled false and short enabled false. Now in your version that you have right now, that's all set to true. And what that actually means is when you put the Object Trader on a chart, it goes to the very first object type, which is called region. Okay, and notice that LE and SE are on. So that's going to be very important on the new version, because if I was to, and I've got a little bit of a new version, if I hit insert, that's actually an active box, okay? Now yours isn't just yet, but it will be. Okay, so the reason you want to start this with this turned off is because maybe I don't want this box drawn like this. You know, maybe I want this box drawn more like this, looking to the left to trade the right. Everybody see where it busted out? What's it going to check? It's probably going to check right at mid-band, isn't it? So couldn't I just say, you know what, I really don't want a breakout. I want a long at the bottom, you know, and I might be willing to go like a touch +2 or something like that. See what I mean? Okay, so, you know, when you get your newer version of this, like I say, this is all going to be LD and SD so that you're not going to accidentally get in a trade that you don't want to get in. Okay, it'll default like this. All right. Let's see, I don't want to do that. We'll go ahead. You know, last week what was really weird, you could get rid of it by hitting delete. Let's see. Yeah, you can. You just can't actually highlight it to delete it because then it'll delete the strategy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to what we're going to do in the very near future, and that is to change this to false and false. Now you always pretty much want your, whoops, sorry about that. Messed up, didn't I? Start reverse enabled. Yeah, we'll leave that false. Start short enabled, false, short long enabled, false, and object trader you do want to start as true. Let me show you what would happen if you start it with false. This would actually be turned off and you wouldn't be taking any of these type of trades at all. This has to be turned on for the object trader to work. Okay, so I usually leave that one defaulted at true. And when we put the scripts out to you with the template, that's what we do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that as my template and we'll get started with something. Oh, and also, let me show you something else. Once you get your new version of this, you're also going to want to set your particular active color because there's no longer going to be a setup color. It's going to actually be active at all times. And usually what I like is the one that we've had for a long, long time, and that's medium sea green. Okay, and just right click and set it as your default, and that's what color it will be. Okay, let's see here real quick. And of course you can change your targets or anything like that. Anything you change in here, you can set it as default or you can save it as a template. We've gone over that. All right, let's see here. Change that to true and we'll go ahead and put object trader on the chart. Okay, anybody have any questions thus far? Now what has come out in this newest version that you have, I've got just one step more than you have right now because I've got the new region. It's not finished yet, but I do have it. But you do have the version that now has the PM trade, the PM2 trade. Now the PM1 trade is simply lightning 1. Okay, and it's a very, very fast lightning. All it's got to do is look for a bar up, a bar down, get a higher low, and a bar up and take out the previous top. That's all it's got to do. Okay, but it'll get you in some trades pretty nicely too. The lightning 2 is a little bit basically more of a, you have to have 2 bars. You know, you're going to have like 2 bars up, at least a bar down and then break. But you got to have the 2 bars. Okay, and of course we added the wedge trade. Now just for the sake of clarifying, you know, because even with the webinars that I've had recently, I still get a lot of questions on this. Be sure if you are going to use the wedge trade, don't put a ray on the chart yet. If I put this ray on the chart like this, say, and then start the ray, it doesn't even recognize that ray because it was drawn before wedge was turned on. Now it will recognize it if it gets near it or touches it, and then it'll finally see it, but it won't see it the first time around. Let's see, Peter says, can you show the wedge trade again? I tried setting on wedge, then drawing the line and selecting longy, shorty, and sometimes it still doesn't work. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and erase our ray. Let's start this clock and let's see if we can get a wedge trade. I was going to show you more of a PM trade because that's one of the trades I'm looking forward to on this this new predictor, is that type of trade. Okay, but let's just wait and see what we can get here just a second. Well, it's not even moving. What's the deal? I've got it only going about 4 times. We'll go about 10 times normal speed. Hopefully it'll move. Okay, but Peter, on your question, what you have to do is you have to just make sure it's in wedge mode before you ever draw the ray. Okay, and the way you would do that, of course, see I've got it in wedge mode, then I simply select my wedge. Let's just draw it across here like this just for the fun of it. I don't really want a breakout trade. I'd rather have it down here, but we'll try it. Okay, now also you got to remember that if the prices are below the line, it's the top button. If the prices are above the line, let's say that you wanted a second ray like this, for instance, all right, then that's the bottom button. Okay, now I don't really want a short here, but what if I wanted a long like that? So whichever one of these gets filled first, I would be in. Okay, let's go ahead and see if one of those works out. I'll take a chance on, say, let's just do 3. See if we can get a trade. But see, that's the way you draw your wedge. You have to remember that the T button, prices are below the line. The B button, prices are above the line. Okay. If I drew a third ray way up here, wow, that's a tongue twister. That doesn't even count because see, my price is below here and it's above here. So this ray doesn't even come into play. Now, if it was to break through here, could I then activate it? Yes, because it would be below the ray again, wouldn't it? So it'd be the top button. Let's see if we can get a little trade. Touch +2. That's a little mid-band trade trying to work itself out for us. I'm going to tighten this ray up. And by the way, you can do this while it's active on the chart. Didn't quite get down to where we want it yet. Let's see if we can get a trade. Do you need to wait for a bar close before the wedge works? Well, Chris, on your question, we already had some bar closes before we put it on there. At least I hope that I didn't do it wrong. But yes, you are to have a bar close. Like if you just start a chart fresh and you don't have a bar close, it also won't recognize it. That's just in Ninja, you know, the way strategies are. See if we can get a trade. Okay, now, okay, see, there you go. You got within 2 ticks and it ticked back up 1. So we are in the trade. Now, what if I wanted to add to this trade? How would I do that? Well, if it takes out this ray, could I go ahead and say, you know what? I don't want to turn this one on again, but maybe if it goes ahead and takes out this ray and we can tighten it again, that I want to maybe add one. And it would add 1 on a touch +2 outside the line. Let's just get this one out of the way so you can see it fire. If it gets there, that is. We may lose on this trade. It's hard to say. But notice how if you look to the left to trade the right, you can literally tell where this trade was coming to. Look at this. Thrust, retrace, big thrust. Has not checked it yet. It's going to check it. It's definitely going to check it. Does it mean it won't take it out? No, but it hasn't checked it yet. So it's trying to do just that. See how we draw on our charts? Anytime they're going to make sure that they check those swings when they pull back. Long trades will usually check the top of a swing or even in between them, but they usually won't take out the previous one because that would change, you know, the minor trend. Or this is actually the secondary trend, pardon me. Let's see if we can fire this thing up. This is slow. I don't trade at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why are those little pink lines there right below the current bar? The pink lines, oh, those are swings, is what those are. Okay, notice we did get our 4th contract. Okay? We did get our other contract. Now, what if this thing goes in our favor, but let's go ahead and take some profit, for instance. Let's see if we can get some profit. And then does anybody see where you could actually get ready to take another trade because of the way we teach it? Look to the left to trade the right. If this takes this out, you'll more than likely come back and kiss this area right here. Now, it hadn't taken it out yet. Checking this swing down here now to the left. If it thrusts up and pulls back, you think it might check that? You think it might? I'll bet it does. Watch it. And you can even do something like this if you want. Buy another one. See if it bounces there. Did, didn't it? Now we got 3. Of course, our stop would be right under here right now because that's your high, your low, your higher high, higher low. Hasn't taken out the high yet. Doesn't count. This one counts. Right down here. See that swing? If you don't see it, you can draw it with your lightning. See there? Identified swing. Okay. Now notice how that wedge fired there, Peter. Were you doing it in that sequence, do you think, or do you think maybe you weren't quite getting it there? Because it should fire like that, and we are working on the algorithms though to make sure that it knows exactly where it's at on the board, so to speak. You know, if you were playing chess, to give an example, or even checkers, you've got those little squares, right? And that checker has to be right in the center of the square. Well, the price on this chart is 1387.30 right at this very second. But if I drew a trend line like so, that doesn't mean that's with a Russell price at all. So that's why sometimes it has to take a second bar. We're working on that because the whole idea is, and I think he can actually do it by simply having us draw the bar, the ray, say, and then have it snap to the price. That's what I'm hoping will actually do that even better. Let's see, you think your line might have been touching the wick of the current bar. You don't have LD. I'm not trying to get another trade right now. We've already got 3 contracts. We're good. Okay. Now, if you want to get rid of rays, you don't have to worry about anything. Just simply turn them off. Just like that. Okay. Now, if you want to see something pretty cool, you can actually go into like bar close, to give an example, and watch this. This will actually do auto bar close. It looks like we're kind of trying to head up a little bit. Let's see if we do. And we'll add a contract every time a bar closes, and then we'll quickly get out of a couple of them. See if it'll go ahead and close. There's one. That's pretty much at a double top, isn't it? Let's see if it goes a little higher. Now, you will be able to have the market order on your next version without turning any of these on. See how I'm turning on auto bar close right now? Look at that, how quick that kicks up the P&L. But quickly I can go, you know what? 1, 2, 3. I can just get rid of them that quickly. Okay? That way, if you do use bar close, you don't have to wait for it to bar close against you. See how I saved that right there? Okay? Now, we're going to actually together look for the next trade. Okay? And I want everybody to tell me what particular tool you would use on your object trader. And let's see if we can get a nice trade. I'm going to go ahead and kill this one. We don't care if it goes to the moon. Let's go ahead and just say that we got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and we said, wow, I'm sleepy. I want a cup of coffee, but I'm looking for a trade. We've got to look for a trade, right? So let's see if we can find a trade. All right, we've got a mid band, we've got a high, we've got a low, we've got a barely higher high. Now, what does this tell everyone when you barely get this higher high? If they don't go ahead and take it out, that this swing will probably not hold. Does LE have to be on for the auto trader? Carl said. You mean to fire a market order? Carl, on your question there? The answer is no on that, on my version. But on your version, unfortunately, yes. Well, with auto on bar close, yes, you would have to actually have this on with LE. For instance, we went down in candles, so we never fired one, but we would have if we would have gotten one. Okay. Now, something that we've taught for years. I want to show you something here real quick. I'm going to draw some lines on this chart. Okay. Does that look like right up here that took out that top by very much? Okay. Now we have what we call a micro swing trends, and we've got the medium swing trends. Okay. Now when they barely take out this top like this, you can almost count on the fact that this won't hold. Okay. But this one will. Okay. Because what you actually have here in the scheme of things, let me just show you something again. Bear with me a second. I'll get a little lightning chart here. Remember the rule of thumb on lightning? You've got a high. Where's that low established? It's established only when it takes out that top. But if it just barely takes it out, isn't that like a double top? But if it takes out a lot like this, isn't that an established swing? Or even if it took it out up to here, even that would be an established swing. But this is not an established swing right here as long as it hasn't taken out that top like it did right there. Okay. And what are we looking for on this trade? We would be looking probably for a phantom type trade. Okay. Because what you're going to find a lot of times when you're trading the medium trend is that when you barely take it out, the swing won't hold. But look to the left and trade the right, and this swing will hold. Unless we're going to break down. How many ticks is taking it out, Philip? Well, it really kind of depends, because if you actually look at this right here, you basically had what? Looks like 5 ticks maybe. Let's see. Which is like the wick of a larger candle. 87.80 to 88.40. 6 ticks. Okay? You took it out by 6 ticks. On like a 12-tick candle, that could be just a large wick. Okay? So the one thing that we look for, even in the room, when we start talking to say that something's getting tired because you can't take out those tops, well, if it would have done this, okay, shot up here, come down here, and rested here, and then gone up, then we would have trusted this. Okay? But when it barely takes us out, you pretty much figure it's going to stop at support, and it can't take out what we call our micro support, and it's already doing that. Okay, so over here to the left, we kind of figure that it's probably going to take this out too. But that's why so many people get on the wrong side of a trade, because they end up going short, and you're doing nothing but a retrace right now. Now, does that mean that I couldn't scalp it? You want to see if it'll work? I didn't trade this time of night, but let's just check and see if it will. I'll do a region. We'll do a region like this. We're not going to go long. We're going to simply, if it does break down, we'll take a quick short. But if it's against the trend, I would probably only go like 5 ticks, simply because we've got a trend to the upside. And really, if you're going to take that kind of trade, you should have already taken it right there on that bar close. Okay, because it is breaking the swing. So you're no longer stair-stepping up. So you're stair-stepping. It's no longer stair-stepping up. Okay, when they break micro, they go down and check medium, or they even try to check the real low. Okay, this is actually what we consider to be a decent swing, but it's not taken out by very much over here. And what's a trade, Viper traders, that we get 85%, approximately 80 to 85% on? Mid bands and phantoms, right? But does that mean I can't go ahead? Like, let's say at the open of the market, for instance, could I go ahead and short this if I wanted to? Well, you could, because it is breaking support right here, but you think, whoa, wait a minute. That could easily bounce right there too, and it definitely could. So I'd probably wait for it to break this medium swing if I was even going to try to scalp it. You want to see if it'll work? Let's do a close. Now keep in mind, even if it breaks, I'm looking for a long trade still. Okay, but I'll take that if it breaks that, because it might give me a little scalp. We'll see. Let's see, always learning from you. I would have bought the retrace at what I would have had thought at 1386.30. Well, it should actually hit its head there. But like I said, the one thing that we run into more than anything, you know, when you get, you know, a thrust, a retrace, a thrust, a retrace, a thrust, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So you've had 1 thrust, 2 thrusts, 3 thrusts. That's usually about the most that you're going to want, you know, unless there's really trending. Okay. Let's see. It's what, 5:29 in the morning? Let's see if we can get something. Hope I don't run it too fast. There we go. We got something. See if we get anything. Now this is something that we're working on too, because see how that's actually stayed on short? I don't like that, and he's working on that. See if we're going to get, maybe not. I think we just missed it. Didn't get 5 ticks, so I'd probably put my stop right in through there because we lost on that trade. It looks like we are anyway. Yep. Okay. See, because it's actually doing what? It's breaking up off of Phantom. Okay. Now, by taking that short, what did we just miss? We just missed a good trade. Okay, but what do Viper traders do? Well, we just missed it too, but let's go ahead and look at it. I've got that thing going like 20 times now. I just slowed it down. But see what this did? It thrust up and it pulled back right on top of that support right there. That is what we call a little predictor trade, isn't it? A little predictor trade. Not too shabby, huh? Let's see, on this trade, can you touch upon when to flip a trade? Well, if we hadn't been running that at like 20 times, you see how fast it did? And you'll get that in even normal trading too, but you probably should have flipped it when it took out resistance. See, this was stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down. When did it stop stair-stepping down? When it took out this side right here, right? That's pretty much when it was starting to break resistance. Now we got to wait, unfortunately, for another pullback. Where do you think it'll be? Let's see if we can figure it out. Let's see if we can figure it out. I'm going to get rid of this lightning because it's too much on the chart. Okay, we already pulled back to here. See, swing. So I'm going to look to the left to trade the right, and I'm going to see if I can figure out where it's going. Okay, so it checked here, which is pretty much that same area right here where this cursor is. So next time around, it's going to come right here. Could we be ready for that trade? Yeah, let's try it. We'll do a wedge, array type wedge. We'll just go ahead and go like that. We've got plenty of time to do it. Looks pretty good. And let's see if we can get that trade. We're going to go above the price, so we're going to have to use the bottom. And we're going to go long. We're going to go touch +2. And whoops, sorry about that. And see if we can get that trade. Now, the only reason I'm doing this is because we missed the first one. So we know where it's going to come back to and check, don't we? Looking to the left to trade the right. Let's see if it does. Wow, how could we be down $360? I'm not sure on that one. Let's see if we can make it back up. I'll tell you another way that you can actually do these trades quite nicely. Oh, a short 12? Yeah, see, that's something. Okay. Greg, on your question, it is actually to show the new features, but I'll show you. You want to just try to go ahead and do like a power meter type trade instead? To show the new features, almost have to basically trade it. Okay, but let's just do a different one then. I've already shown the wedge. Let's do a power meter instead. This wedge will no longer count. All right, we're going to wait for this to go red, and we're going to get a little retracement. So we're going to go, these don't count on power meter, okay? This is for boxes and rays and time traders. Region, okay? It's for this old ray, it's for sniper, it's for time trade, and it's for wedge, but it is not for PM trades. PM trades, you're looking for power meter to go the opposite color and then change. Let's see if we can get one. So we had 12 contracts short somehow, huh? I'll have to look at the webinar when I get through and see what did that. Have to see what it was. I think what it was is this stayed on, and we've got to fix that. He's well aware of it. He's just got to fix it. Yeah, if anytime you're short like 12, you're going to get whacked unless it goes your direction. So, yeah, that was probably something with a glitch. It sold 3 times. Okay. Yeah, that's why I say, you know, on this beta version, you know, be very, very careful what you're doing. That fired different than I wanted it to also, actually. Let's go ahead and draw us a trend line, see if we can get that. Everybody see, we fired a little trade like that. Let's go ahead and fire a, it's too late now. PM went green, so we can't do that. Wow. Running it 100 times, that's not smart. Okay, well, we just missed the trade of the morning. Remember this trade I called this morning on TF? Everybody remember that? Now let's see if we can get this thing caught back up. We just missed the trade of the morning. I called that one in the room this morning, and I was going to use a wedge to show you how to take it. Matter of fact, let's just back it up. I will show that. Bear with me just a second. I'll show you how to use the wedge, because that trade was called live in the room this morning, and we're talking about using the tools. Bear with it a second. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and do like 4. We'll go wedge, and we're waiting for the open of the market. So what I'll do is I'll just fast forward to about 8:25 or so, and then we'll slow it down, and I'll show you how to trade this. Did you see it hit that trend line I just drew? Now there's some trades here still. Notice how it hit that trend line? Could you have shorted that? And the answer is yes. $8.27, $8.28, there we go. All right, now let's see if we can trade this thing. And remember at 8:30, this basically shot up a little bit, right? And then we got a nice little pullback. Everybody remember that in the room this morning? And we're going to have a little auto type deal that will actually draw these trades on the chart in real time. It'll be called the auto trend line. And I'll show you how it would actually fire. And we warn every day, don't we, to be very careful at the open, because what they do, if they break like these little micro supports here, they'll go down and they'll check closer for these mediums. What you always do is draw on your chart, make sure that you stay well above this, like a phantom type trade to give an example, you want a higher low. But we're going to have a new trade that will actually draw this in real time. And by doing that, you could actually be in the trade, because the way it'll draw it will be something like that right there. Because keep in mind, you're not going to draw it with 4 range bars. Okay? And then you just simply turn that on like that. And this is above the prices, so it would be that one right there. And that looks like a little phantom trade to begin with. Remember this? We actually drew this in the room this morning. Okay, notice how that went through there and it fired on that bar, because that one probably mathematically did not touch that line. Okay? But that's the way you'd be able to do that. Now, on your Renko type bars, you're going to notice that they're a little bit larger bars, and you'll be able to see these trades a little bit better with them too. Because this was straight down on even like an 8-range bar, I'm sure. That was probably just a wick. Everybody sees that, right? So we got this monster little trade this morning in the room, called it out. Matter of fact, remember, we just boxed it in and we took the trade. Let's see. Yeah, David, on your question there, if you run into anything like that at all, be sure and let me know like you're doing now. And like I said, we are definitely working on this to make sure that it absolutely works the way it's supposed to. Okay. Let's see, where would this come down and test? Let's see here. Looking to the left to trade the right. Looks like it already did to me. Close enough anyway. We're still okay in it. And I would put my stop now just underneath the swing like that right there. Everybody see how to use the wedge though, if you want to use the wedge? Pretty cool. Now, if you missed a good trade like this morning, does everybody know the next trade that you're going to be looking for? And what tools to use? We want to see if it'll work? First off, let's see if we can get this trade finished. That's where we'd be shooting for. So let's go ahead and take some profit if it hits it. And let's draw a trend line. Well, we don't have more than one target, so I guess we'll just go with that. If this pops up, we'll put our stop right under here. Now, talking about some of the new features coming on Object Trader, by the way, let me go ahead and tighten that stop. You can put exit on close if you want to. Anytime you get these tops like that, see how that just barely missed that top? You got to keep your stop right where it's at, don't you? Absolutely. But you could move your target out of the way, couldn't you? And then if this takes out this swing right here, you could bring your stop even under there. That's your lightning swing. Okay. Now I'll show you another tool on here that I think you'll like if we can go ahead and get something here. Let's see if we can get something. If this takes this out, see how it's topping out right there? If it takes this swing out right here, I'll short it, but I'll only do it for like, let's go for 5 ticks. Keep in mind that I'm still long, but I can actually reverse this on PM by just simply turning that on. And for some reason, the power meter saw that and flipped it. I'm not sure exactly why it flipped it, but we got 5 ticks, so I guess it doesn't matter. No, we didn't get our 5 ticks yet. I'm going to go ahead and put a stop just right above the swing just in case, because that's a counter trend trade. Okay. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop tools that'll work in real time, and we're going to look for trades on this chart, and I want y'all to call them out for me. Okay. And then tell me what tool we're going to use. Okay. See if we get this trade at all. We may get stopped out. That's fine. If we do, we do. We're only risking 5 ticks. Anybody see a trade setting up right now on the chart? What tool quickly would you want to use on this next trade if we get it? Now, we don't know we're going to get it because it could stop us out and keep on trucking, but Predictor just printed. Predictor saying if you get a pullback, you should pull back at least into here. Let's look to the left to trade the right and see if there's any swings along in there. And there's really not, right? Your swing is here. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little sweet spot there. That's where I'd expect it to get a trade. See if we do. Anybody have any questions thus far on what I'm showing here? Because if you have any at all on how to use the tool, that's what this webinar's for, checking out the new tools in Object Trader. And keep in mind too that as we are working on this and getting all the entries and, it's literally almost being rewritten on a lot of the object types at the top, because you'll be able to do auto PM type trades, require trend. This will actually be an auto only by the time we get through with it. Okay. Do we turn on wedge and LE before putting the ray on the chart? Well, you could turn on wedge first. You don't have to turn on the LE yet, but you do have to turn wedge on. Like say, for instance, if I wanted this trade in a wedge instead, we'll do it in a wedge instead if I can catch it. I see it already. There we go. That's good enough. I'd love it actually more down here at the swing. By the way, you can tighten that wedge too if you want to. If it drops any further, I'm going to tighten it. See there, it's hitting right where we want it to. A little bit out of our box, but looking to the left to trade the right, it checked this swing instead. And that did not fire my trade, so I'm going to fire it manually. Let's see if it fires it after the next bar. No, that proves that you can't go through the price. Okay. So we went through the prices instead, so we got to have our wedge outside the price. Okay, but we still got a trade, so that's good enough, right? You can also use your tool to get out of contracts. Let's say, for instance, if I wanted to go short 4, it would get rid of the 4 long if it happens to take out my trend line. See, I can also do that. The whole idea of having tools like this is so that you can really, trade in real time and try to rack up some coin. Now, would this reverse? No, because see, I had to turn this on. So we did not get that. We didn't want to reverse anyway, did we? Now, one thing about it that I have noticed, and he's working on that, is if Ray stops working, which it obviously has, then there's really no choice but you have to restart Object Trader. And he will find that. But I would probably close this out if it's breaking that trend line. Well, now we could go ahead and go here. That's fine. Let's see, don't you want that to come down further because it didn't take out the top by much? Well, it hasn't taken out the top yet, but we've got to tighten our stop anyway, because what are we doing now? We're basically coming down to like mid bands, and you got to draw your lines across the top of your charts and see if you can get those tops and even take them out, or keep your stops nice and tight. This is within 10 minutes of the market. Let's see, you could, as far as that goes, if you wanted to put your stop down a little bit lower. I don't like to give up a bunch, though, if I just get in a trade. Do you? Especially if I've only got one target, which we should have turned on more targets than this, because, see, we've only got one target. If we had had like 4 targets, to give an example, then I would say different than that, because you could get 5, you could get 10, and then you keep going. Okay? Now, looking at this chart with what's happening right now, remember I said this in real time this morning in the room. Anybody see something happening before our eyes? We didn't take it right away, but what did we do? We said, look, Russell is starting to get a double top. You got a high, you got a low, you've now got a lower high. It doesn't mean that it won't go ahead and bounce, but if it takes this out, high, low, lower high, that would actually identify this swing and be the start of a downturn, wouldn't it? And that's actually what we got. And if you want to actually set it up to take that trade, you can use the tools. Let's say, for instance, that if this decides to go ahead and head up or down, you could just simply turn on your region, like so. And I probably wouldn't take a long unless we get some kind of a pop-up and pull back like into here. So you can actually do something like this if you want to. Just get this out of the way and look for, like we called in the room, live. Now, does that look like that would be a short? Well, it's not right now, right? But if you start getting lower highs and lower lows, you're probably going to change trends. And you've got to be ready for it just in case it does. Now, could you also get the little bounce if you did get a predictor? Yes. Okay. But keep in mind that if they take out medium swings, you can always try to get down to the next one and then look to the left to trade the next one. Look to the left to trade the next one, and so on. And that's another reason why we develop these tools like this, because you can trade both sides of this thing, especially during the first 15 minutes. Which broker for trading, CG? Well, actually, there's two, AMP and NinjaTrader. Okay? And there's another one that actually I've still got some coin with, but I don't use it. It's more to just keep a place setting in it because of the way Ninja did their, their brokers and everything. But that one's just strictly small. Okay, we've slowed down quite a bit. Let's see if we can get us a trade. I think my wedge has quit working, actually. We could find out. Well, it's too late now. Still bounced off support so far. Could you take a quick trade for like 5 ticks? Yes. But keep in mind, we just missed that because I was just talking. Could we have taken a quick 5 ticks? Yes. Also draw your trend lines too along your lows. See if it takes that out. Doggone it, we just left no targets on again. I'm going to get some more here in just a second. We'll turn all those on. Where do you think it would retrace to if we get any kind of a retracement? Anybody? Look to the left to trade the right. Use your tools with Viper. I see a swing right over here. It looks like it's already tested it. See it right there? And if it goes up any higher, and I would probably, in a case like that, go ahead and grab that trade, see how it just kissed. It's too late now, but anyway. See how you can draw those like that? Now remember that trade in the room this morning where we said we were going to short Russell if it took out support? That turned out to be, by the way, a phenomenal trade. Does anybody remember how far that thing went down? Well, that's the way the markets have been doing lately. And if we were astute and we're watching our charts, when we get these double tops, to give an example, you always get these pullbacks. See, this even double topped here, so it pulled back. It tested support and it took off again. This one double topped and it took off and it took out support, which was right across here. When did this become a lightning 3 to the downside? High, low. We didn't know that was a low, right? We didn't know this was our swing until it took this out. So basically what this did, your thrust, your retrace, and then of course when it broke this line right here by any amount of ticks, it was pretty much breaking down, wasn't it? That's why we box in at these mid bands all the time in that room too. Now we'd want to go ahead and bring our stop down. And by the way, we can get rid of some contracts if you want, because look at that. It's right down at the low. Remember that this morning? We drew that on the chart. It took it out without even looking at it. course, I'd put my stop just right above here. Swing, wouldn't you? Looks like a pretty good place. And you could put it on exit on close if you wanted to. As soon as it takes out the low, where would you put your stop again? And by the way, you can use the tools. That probably should stop you out, actually. It's starting to change. Power meter, see the green one on 2? I'll bet this hits its head now. You want to bet if it hits its head? Anytime you start seeing those power meters do that, be very careful. We could go ahead and keep heading down because our swing is right here. If we can take out the low, where's our swing? It's right there. But it hadn't taken out the low yet. Stop's still going to be above there. Let's see, through trend line. Let's draw a trend line on here. We don't have a wedge going. That's kind of like right through there. It did break that, but it's still breaking down, so we don't need this trend line anymore. Where would our stop be again? Well, right here. Not quite yet, right? Like that. Monster little trade, wasn't it? I'd put exit on close on that. Just in case. See how it just kissed it? Now, when you start stair-stepping down like this, you know, if you had a second chart, could you actually take counter trend trades with these new tools? You could actually, because this, to give an example, let's say that we get a power meter back to the upside and we want to go ahead and get out of this trade instead with our 4 contracts. See, the power meter's red, and there you're out. That easy. Could you have actually flipped that? Absolutely you could. Now, what we're getting right now, what does everybody think on this chart? You're getting a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high, but you haven't taken out your swing yet. We haven't had a phantom yet, right? So you want to use one of the tools and see how it works? We're still looking for shorts, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch for that to turn red. Since we'll be going counter trend, we'll only go for like 5 or 10. That power meter 1 should not have done. I'll bet you I know what it is. I know what it is. I was playing with the scripts earlier for the programmer. I'll bet we've got minutes going on here instead. You have to check that. That's a nice little trade. Now we've got a background that's actually green. Power meter's red. Right off a predictor, by the way. Should have grabbed it off the predictor instead. That's a late fill right there. But that is power meter. I personally like the touch a predictor and close of a bar myself. Checking support. I'm going to go ahead and grab some more right there because it just checked support. See everybody how that does? Thrust, retrace, you just got to draw on your charts. And with the tools, it makes it fairly easy to trade it, doesn't it? Look to the left to trade the right. Thrust, retrace, big thrust down. Got to swing right across here. And you don't even have to watch these little power meters and everything. You can actually have your stop accordingly. See, that power meter went red. You could already be out of this trade. See there? Because it's going to take you out anyway if you don't. Lightning swings. That's why we designed that. I love the idea that you can actually trade it with those predictors though, because predictor trades will make a huge difference in your trading. I'm going to try another one. Predictors right down here. I'm going to turn on power meter long. Power meter won't even kick in until it takes that out. Unless we get, well, we're not getting anything just yet. Well, wait a minute. That's right at support, isn't it, right there? You think it's going to break? I bet it does. That's support right there. You want to take it if it does? Well, we already got power meters red, so we can't take it that way, but we can do it this way if it breaks. Only if it breaks. Box it in. There's resistance right there where that swing is, and there's support right there. That's the way we box them in. See if we get anything. Got something. Okay, now I said just a minute ago that I was going to let everybody pick the next trade. Which tool do you want to use on your next trade? We'll just take this one off the table. I don't care about it. We got a trade, so that's all we care about. Let's get this out of the way. Still heading down. That's okay though, right? We don't care if it's still heading down because we already got out of the trade. What I want y'all to do is tell me where the next trade is on the chart and what tool to use, and then we'll wrap. Anybody? Where do you think the next trade is on this chart? Okay, let's draw some lines on the chart first. We have resistance looking to the left to trade the right. We've got resistance looking to the left to trade the right. Across here. Like so, right? So it can't go any higher than here if we're going to head down. And it could even hit its head at this 1377. But what do you do when you're trading like this rather than just jumping in and then it goes higher than you think it might? Right? Could it? Well, I'd be looking for a trade right in here myself, okay, if it rolled. Okay. Yeah, how about a wedge? That'd be good. Okay. How about an auto wedge when it gets developed? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 bars up. What if auto wedge would draw on, like, say 6 bars to give an example? You want to see? That's the bottom one, so it'd be that one right there. And I'm going to do a touch plus 3 because that should close. Okay, we're right at mid-band. We're right at support or resistance. Now, this could blow up, couldn't it? Well, if it does, what are we going to have to do? Well, we got to wait for it to thrust up and pull back into this line. We're looking for shorts right now, right? Watch it make a liar out of me. That's all right. Not yet. Still short. Touch plus 3 should fire any second now. If it's going to, we may have killed our wedge. Your PM long counter trend would have scalped easily. You could. Absolutely, Kenneth, on your question. When we get this auto ray done, I think that you'll be able to pretty much put it on, you know, a certain chart that you like to look at, to give an example. And I'd probably go more with the trend myself, but what Kenneth is talking about, like right here, so you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then this one went up, so you didn't get 6. So you'd have to start your count over, and you never got 6. Okay, and now with Renko bars, this might have possibly been more bars. You want to see what it looks like? If I don't kill the webinar, we're almost through anyway. Let's just do it. We'll go to data series, go to where's my Renko bars? My object trader Renko bars. Oh, I know what the deal is. I put out the new trial today. I don't have the new Renko bars on this computer. Yeah, okay. Well, we're not gonna be able to do that. I can do it with the, you want to do it with the logic bars? Let's see what it would look like. That's a good one, 5 bar, 5 tick. See what it looks like. Yeah, that would have done it, Kenneth. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 bars straight down. The way the new trader will do, let's say if you set it for like 5 bars to give an example, or 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the line would start drawing automatically along the bodies of the candles, like so, and it would not fire until it closed above. So it would have gotten that trade long. You're right. That won't be a bad way to trade, will it? What do I use on the object trader Renko bars, Ted? I like to personally use the 3 and 6 and the 4 and 8. The 3 and 6, you know, is a little quicker. Anybody want to get in this trade one more time? Because you can see a trade setting up if you've been with us a long time, right? We've already gotten our trade, we're flat, okay? So what would we be looking for? Well, we want to thrust down below support, right? I'll put it on about 10 times and we'll see if we can get it manually even. It's got a break. Okay, where do you think you're going to probably be able to get a trade on this chart? Where it broke down, right? See there? See how it's coming back? Right at resistance. Bingo. See there? You just got to look to the left to trade the right. No matter what size bars, you can usually see where they're going. And it sure makes it a lot easier to see it, doesn't it? Now, real quick before we close, one more trade. We'll leave it on these Renkos just for a minute. Let's just check something out. We're not in a trade right now. Where's our next trade on the chart? Anyone? Anyone at all? Okay. Well, we just got that one just a minute ago, right? At that swing. Now you got a swing right across here, don't you? And it matches this swing over here. So wouldn't that be a pretty good area to look for a trade on this chart? You know, see if it is. We had closed the room by now, but does that look like it? Does that look like a trade? It does, doesn't it? It's a predictor type trade, and it's going to kiss resistance more than likely. This is actually pretty easy to see too, just like a 4. You're going to miss some good trades that you'll see on a 4, but this is pretty smooth. See if we get it. It's got to kiss the line at least. Could we be ready for a region trade since we got the tools with Object Trader? Let's do an insert, insert, short, touch. We'll do touch plus 2 and see if we can get that trade. Well, we got it out the bottom, so I guess we're okay anyway. I meant to turn that one off, but that's okay. We got really, really close to our predictor. I'm going to move the stop just a little bit simply because if it comes back to resistance, we don't want them just to wick us out. Okay, everybody see that? That turned out to be not a bad trade, but I'll bet you it goes back up there. They usually check it twice. What does everybody think? You want to get these new tools where we can all, we'll call them out in the room too, like, you know, I'm going to go a bar close here. I'm going to box this in. I'm going to do a PM trade to get out of the trade, to give an example, or to get into a trade. You know, it's going to be a little bit more to Object Trader because there's actually going to be region, bar close, PM1, PM2, predictor, predictor PM. We'll probably do away with Ray. We might not. Sniper, I don't know. We may do away with both of those. And then time trades, some people want to keep it, so we're going to keep it. And then wedge. So if we did away with 2 and add 2, we'll have the same number. Yeah, I'm anxiously waiting too, Tom. I can't believe actually that we're not there with it yet. Like I said, if I could write code, we'd definitely, I mean, I can write some code, don't get me wrong. I can play around with indicators and stuff like that. I've dabbled enough to know a little bit about it, but I'm nowhere in the league that guy is. Okay, well anyway, we got a trade. Could we actually see if we could check it twice? Let's see if it'll check it twice. Watch it blow through it and stop us out. See if it'll check it twice. If not, we're still okay. Nope, didn't check it twice. And of course, you can clearly see where the next trade is on your chart, right? Now, does that mean it'll always work out? Nope. But if you draw on your charts, where do you think this trade will retrace to? No higher than there, right? And I'm going to go ahead and speed it up and then we'll wrap. Look at that. Right at the line. Notice we didn't take it because it's obviously too quick. When I put it on 500 times, that's what it's running right now, 500 times. Okay? But notice if you do check your charts, they will come to your lines. And it makes it awesome to be able to trade it. Okay? Yeah, I'll make sure that I have Object Trader. Like say I've got the trial on this particular one because I just put their trial actually ended on in March also, and we had to get the trial ready today. So I've been working on that most of the day, and it's on this particular computer. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll keep checking out new features on Object Trader, and we'll keep adding them for you so you'll have some great tools to trade with, and we'll perfect them too. I mean, we're going to get every glitch out of it. Everything about it should work just the way it's designed. Okay, thanks everyone. Carl, on your question, just real quick before we wrap, the difference between wedge and ray, and I'll go ahead and show this real quick. Anybody wants to leave, you can go ahead. It's fine, but I'll leave it recording. The ray is actually the old ray that you have to hit insert, all right? And then you put your ray on your chart, to give an example, and it's more cumbersome because then you have to hit enter to take the trade. You have to turn this on, you know, like if I wanted to short outside that. And if I wanted to do like an offset, see, that's like a little ray channel, okay? But the wedge is more to where you can actually do 2 rays on your chart. Let's see, does all the market replay data has to run through Ninja platform regardless of where it was downloaded from? Dennis, on your question, well, I use the market replay from .net, and I paid for it. I know nowadays he charges like $150 a year to use his data, but when I signed up for it like 5 years ago, it was lifetime for $150. Now they charge $150 a year. But it's really good market data. You can download as much as you want. Okay, let's see. Mary says, I can't get PM to work. Can you go step by step what it has to be set at? Okay, real quick before we wrap, I'll do that. Let me get rid of, we don't really want this trade. To do PM trades, You don't have to worry about these at all. This could be set even at inactive and it does not matter. Okay, a PM trade, you just simply turn on to PM and you set long or short. Okay, so if I wanted to go long, to give an example, I just simply turn on long, and if that gets a PM, now I wouldn't do a PM on a large bar like this because that would be a real breakout trade. Okay, but on a 4-range chart I would do that. What about on auto? Well, Mary, on auto, what it does is if you turn this auto PM, that would take every single trade that was long. If you turn both of them on, it would take every single trade that was long or short. If you required trend, it would see how it turned off long because it knows that this is a downtrend. So it would, if you require trend, it'll only let you do short right now. If you do auto LESE, that actually means that if you're requiring trend and everything, that this will actually turn these on and off automatically. You know, for instance, if this was to go red, that would fire a short, but if it all of a sudden went, like this background changed and this went green, this would flip from SE to LE as soon as this went to the right color. And then you'd be looking for that kind of trades. These Rankos here are 5 and 50% open and 200% reverse size. They're a real smooth bar, and we can get you a special price on them. Anybody that wants them, we can save $50. The guy that actually does these bars, I know him too, and he gives us a $50 discount. We can get them for $249, and then they're for life. Your auto PM bar closes grayed out on replay. Shouldn't be. On PM? Because if you go to like Regency, it is grayed out. If you go to bar close, it's on. If you go to PM, it's on. If you go to PM2, it's on. If you go to sniper, it's off. If you go to wedge, it's off. Now we're going to turn that on even for wedge. We're going to turn all these on, and instead of saying auto PM bar close, it'll just say auto trades. And then require trend will not be just PM only, it will be all these trades. And then the auto LESE will also be all the trades. But keep in mind with an auto, like I said, if you had this set for like 15 contracts and it was to, let's say that all of a sudden a whole bunch of orders came in, and before you got the order to the broker, it just danced at that line, like, you know how orders just flow, it would fire all your trades. So I would be careful using autos unless a person actually has their strategy with the proper amount of contracts. Because with the proper amount of contracts, it won't go over that. See, we've got this set at 15, so obviously it would get as many as 15. If you set it for 3, it won't go any more than 3. See, I can go down here and try to do 5 if I want to. It won't let me. It'll only do 3. Okay, let's see. Dennis, on your questions, market replay. Marketreplay.net. Okay, everyone, tomorrow's oil inventory day. Thanks for coming. I ran it a little bit longer. Apologize for, a little bit of the longer time. We don't like to do that actually, but we had some questions come in. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow in the room. Good night.